Okay, let's jump right in. We're focusing today on a pretty serious event involving the U.S. Navy in the Red Sea.
That's right, the loss of an FA-18E Super Hornet.
Yeah, from the USS Harry S. Truman. This happened, Monday, April 28th?
Correct, Monday the 28th. And the circumstances are quite something.
Well, the reports say the carrier itself, the Truman, was making a hard turn.
Exactly. Maneuvering pretty aggressively, it sounds like, to avoid incoming Houthi fire.
Right, so an active threat situation.
Definitely. And it's during that sharp turn that the incident happened.
So the jet wasn't, taking off or landing?
No, nothing like that. It was actually being moved, towed, inside the hangar bay.
Inside the hangar? Okay, so below deck.
Yeah, and somehow the movement crew, the sailors towing it, they lost control.
Lost control, and it just went over the side.
Apparently so. Both the aircraft and the tow tractor it was attached to, both went overboard.
Wow. The whole setup. And these Super Hornets, they're expensive.
Oh, incredibly. You're looking at a baseline cost of at least $67 million.
$67 million, or what's that? About 54 million pounds sterling.
Give or take. A very, very significant financial loss, just like that.
Okay, so plane and tractor overboard during an evasive turn. What about the people involved, the sailors?
Well, the good news, relatively speaking, is that the sailors involved in the tow managed to get clear. They're safe.
That's fortunate. Any injuries reported?
There was mention of one sailor sustaining a, quote, minor injury, so hopefully nothing too serious.
Okay.
There was also one source mentioning a crew member ejecting, which sounds odd in this context.
Ejecting from a plane being towed in the hangar bay.
Yeah, it doesn't quite add up, does it? Ejection seats are for when the aircraft is flying, or maybe on the deck in an extreme emergency.
Right, not usually inside the ship.
Exactly. So that detail seems a bit confusing, maybe misreported, maybe something else entirely needs clarification.
I guess the investigation will clear that up. They've launched one, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. An investigation is underway to figure out exactly what happened, the sequence of events.
Makes sense. Okay, before we go further, if you're finding this breakdown useful, do take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out.
Please do.
So let's talk context. The Truman is there in the Red Sea for a reason.
It's part of Operation Rough Rider.
The ongoing U.S. campaign against the Houthis in Yemen.
Right. The stated U.S. goal is, freedom of navigation, ensuring commercial ships and naval ships can pass through the Red Sea without being attacked by Houthi missiles or drones.
That's the U.S. position. And the Houthis.
Well, their stated position is that these attacks are leverage pressure on Israel, a U.S. ally, related to the situation in Gaza, to get them to stop their actions there.
So competing objectives in a very tense region.
Very much so. And this campaign, Rough Rider, it's been costly for the U.S. even before this jet was lost.
Yeah, I saw some figures, something like $3 billion.
Around that, yeah. Approximately $3 billion spent since mid-March alone.
Wow. Yeah. And that's involved hitting quite a few targets.
Over 800 locations in Yemen, according to the reports. Strikes against missile launchers, drone facilities, radar sites, things like that.
So this $67 million jet is now added on top of that $3 billion cost.
Correct. It's a significant addition to the campaign's price tag.
Which inevitably brings up the question of, effectiveness. Yeah. Is this multi-billion-dollar effort working?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or perhaps the $3 billion question now.
Yeah.
U.S. Central Command, CNETCOM, they state that their strikes have degraded Houthi capability.
Okay, that's the official line.
But, you also see news reports suggesting maybe limited success, that the Houthis are still able to launch attacks.
And there have been those whispers, right? Even from within the Pentagon, in closed briefings, apparently.
Yeah, reports suggest some officials acknowledge privately that it's been difficult to really destroy the Houthis' arsenal.
Especially the stuff they keep hidden.
Exactly. They have an extensive network. Lots of it is underground. Missiles, drones, launchers. It's hard to find and eliminate all of that. Very challenging target set.
So a complex picture on the effectiveness front.
Definitely. Mixed signals, you could say.
And, this incident, losing the FA-18E, it's not actually the first major issue involving aircraft from the Truman recently, is it?
No, unfortunately it's not. There have been other serious incidents involving the Truman Carrier Strike Group.
There was that friendly fire incident back in December.
That's right. December 22nd, 2024. The USS Gettysburg, which is a cruiser sailing with the Truman, it accidentally shot down another Super Hornet, an FA-18F, the two-seat version, also from the Truman.
Wow. Shot down by its own escort. That's awful.
A tragic mistake. Blue-on-blue incidents are thankfully rare, but devastating when they happen.
And wasn't there also a collision involving the Truman itself?
Yes, more recently, February 12th of this year, 2025.
What happened there?
The USS Harry S. Truman collided with a merchant vessel, the Besiktas M.
Where did that happen?
That was in the Mediterranean Sea, near Port Said in Egypt. So not the Red Sea, but still part of its deployment journey.
A collision between an aircraft carrier, and a merchant ship. That sounds serious. Was there major damage?
Details on the damage weren't extensively reported, but any collision involving a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier is obviously taken extremely seriously.
And didn't that lead to consequences for the command?
It did. About a week after the collision, the commanding officer of the USS Harry S. Truman was relieved of their command.
So, losing command of an aircraft carrier? That's a huge deal.
Absolutely. It indicates a significant loss of confidence from Navy leadership following the incident.
So, if we tally that up, in the past few months, the Truman Group has had a friendly fire shootdown of one Super Hornet, a collision involving the carrier itself resulting in the CO being fired, and now another Super Hornet lost overboard during combat maneuvering.
It's been a very challenging period for that carrier and its strike group operationally.
Really underscores the dangers and the pressures of these deployments, doesn't it? Even beyond direct combat.
Absolutely. Operating these complex machines with thousands of personnel in high-threat environments under constant pressure, the margin for error is incredibly small. And sometimes things go wrong.
Even basic things like towing an aircraft when done under stress.
Exactly. A routine task can become hazardous very quickly when the ship is making sudden, violent maneuvers.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together then. We've got an FA-18E Super Hornet with tens of millions lost overboard from the USS Truman in the Red Sea.
Happened during an evasive turn to avoid Houthi fire while the jet was being towed in the hangar bay.
One sailor had a minor injury, the rest of the tow crew were safe, and investigation is underway.
And this adds to the already substantial cost of the U.S. anti-Houthi campaign, Operation Rough Rider, whose effectiveness is, well, debated.
And it follows other recent major incidents for the Truman Group, including the Gettysburg shootdown and the collision with the Besiktas-M.
A difficult run of events, certainly.
It really does make you think, doesn't it, about the sheer complexity and the inherent risks of operating these massive naval forces in active contested waters?
It does. It's not just about the enemy threat, but also about maintaining operational safety and proficiency under extreme conditions. There are so many moving parts, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, and the interplay between the military objectives, the geopolitical situation, the financial costs, and just the fundamental challenges of operating at sea, it's a lot to consider.
The stark reminder of the friction involved in real-world military operations.
Well, thank you for walking us through that. It's a significant event with a lot of layers.
Indeed it is.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. If you appreciated this discussion, please do hit like and subscribe for more analysis on events shaping our world.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us.